Hi, this is Vicky, except I won't be Vicky for much longer. Basically, I don't like myself today, so I'm going to be someone else. I've only been dragging for like, I don't know, a couple of months, so if any of this is completely wrong, then do tell me so that I can learn from the collective community. This is kind of just a way to like keep myself doing it, is to chronicle what I'm doing and where I'm going wrong, and you know, then I'll have something to look back on. What I'm putting on first is one of my favourite things to put on. It's primer. This particular is Maybelline Dream Smooth Primer. Fair warning, if you are trying to conserve costs, this is kind of expensive, but a little pot like that pot has lasted me years, so you know, you're not going to use that much. So just put a little bit on, and all this does is like smooth out your face so that you don't get like craters and pock marks and things. So I could be doing this in entirely the wrong order. I'm sure I'm going to really offend the YouTube makeup community, but there we go. So I'm now using sort of similar to my Maybelline Dream Smooth. This is Maybelline Dream Lumitouch, which is a little foundation pen doodad, and it just works as a concealer just to cover up, and because it's got the little brush on it, it blends things and you can just like paint over all of your spots and nasty bits, which is lovely. To add to the covering up of all of the imperfections is this stuff, and this is my favourite of anything ever because I'm an arty person, and any arty person will tell you that if you use, say, green and red, they cancel each other out. So this is my Primark makeup brush, and this is Makeup Academy Pro Base, which I got from Superdrug, so you know, that didn't cost too much at all. And just put a little bit, so a little bit of the green over anywhere where you are redder than you would like to be. In my case, my cheeks, particularly that cheek. I don't know why one cheek is more red than the other. Is that strange? That sounds strange. And a little bit on my chin as well. I have a very rosy chin. Some people have rosy cheeks, but no, not me. And then you can put now let's see if I can remember this. The green goes on the red, the yellow goes on any green bits. Like I have, you can see the little green bits on the inside of the eye, you just put a little bit of yellow over them. And it covers them up and evens it out. It's to do with the way light hits the eye and the science of colour and light. I don't really know the reasoning behind it, but it's cool and it works. And then you have purple, little lavender purple, which goes under the eyes, and that just lightens out the dark splotches a little bit. Yes, another fair disclosure, this is all based on my skin, which is quite pale, as you can see, kind of weirdly pale yellow. I don't know what my skin tone is, white person, but you know, other than that. Yeah, so you got that, you're roughly all the same colour now, or you should be. If you have anything that's still really sticking out, yeah, mess that up. There you go, just a little concealer stick doodad. I've had this so long, the thing's worn off, so I don't even know who made it, but probably Boots or Superdrug or something like that. So, or whatever domestic own brand cosmetic shops you have wherever you are. This is foundation and serum, and I'm going to put that on now. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do that because it's foundation, so you would think foundation goes on first. But I was told to do the concealer stuff first, so that you're all the same colour when the foundation goes on. I don't know how true that is. You probably don't even need to do both of them, but there we go. Right. and my cheeks and under my eyes are the most ridiculous areas for me colour-wise, so I'm like plastering it on like that, and then I'm going to actually like blend it out with my brush. And again, I am not claiming to be any kind of expert at this. If anything, I'm doing this, almost doing it wrong on purpose, so that people who know what they're talking about can come and find me and tell me that I'm wrong. Because really, what good is the internet for if it's not putting your opinions out there and being told that you're wrong? So, you know, that's going to be the best way, I think, for me to move forward and learn, is by generally getting other people's opinions and gaining from the experience and knowledge of others. In fact, generally that's just good advice for life. Roddy, our dear friend Roddy, is a little bit posher than me and much more English than me. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing it means he's good to be the next James Bond. He's English. My hair gel. Well, it's not hair gel, it's hair wax. And this is my first time using Shockwave's hair wax. I used VO5 before, and what I found with VO5 was that what I actually want to get the kind of hairstyle I want for Roddy is I want the wax to have sat for a little bit and then to comb it out again, if that makes sense. Just because it dries out a little bit and it's not as sticky and as wet. So I'm going to wax all my hair back now, A, so it's on my face, and B, so that it has a chance to get all dry and styleable. You don't want it too dry, you want it kind of like tacky dry. Turn myself from lesbian Justin Bieber impersonator into Steve Buscemi in any Steve Buscemi movie. I'm just kidding, Steve Buscemi doesn't have Steve Buscemi movies. He's in other people's movies. Okay, so we are now roughly one colour and our hair is back, so that's good. So next is everyone's favourite contouring kit. And this again is contouring MUA. I don't know how to actually pronounce that, if it's MUA or MUA or whatever, or moi. Moi makes sense, doesn't it? Because that's a kissy face sound. Anyway, I got this from Superdrug. It's their own version of it, and it's so cool because you have your shadow and your highlight, or no, that's your highlight, that's your shadow. Sorry, I'm terrible, but it has a little snappy and a little mirror in it as well. But we have a big bathroom mirror here, which is what I'm looking at a lot of the time. So the important thing first is to realise that you messed up and used the wrong end of your brush for your foundation, and that you now don't have a big clean brush for your contour. But that's fine, because we can just rub it over our hands a bit and most of it comes off. Cue thousands of makeup tutorialers screaming in agony. That's where I've gone wrong a lot of times when I've practiced previously, is I've put on way too much on the brush, put it on my skin and gone, oh look, I am the crypt keeper. So we don't want that. We just want a little tiny bit of shadow on the brush, and that's still probably too much. And some people say start from the top and work down, but I kind of like starting from the sides and working in. That makes sense? So you can kind of like match the sides up as you go. So what you want to do for masculinizing, masculating. If you can be emasculated, then you can be masculated, surely. For masculating your face, you want to start, you want to make your jawline stronger. So that means coming in all the way behind the ears, following the jaw curve round. You're going to make that quite a sharp line, because otherwise it looks like you have jowls. And then under the chin as well, just to give that manly chin a little bit more emphasis. And this is just artist experience speaking, because what I'm essentially doing is drawing a man's face on top of my face, which, you know, I've drawn men's faces in the past. Not particularly well, but I have. And there's a more pronounced series of, there's basically like 3 sections to your neck. If you imagine it as like one triangle there, one triangle there, and one triangle there, and that one's going down and those 2 are going up. So what you want to do is you want to highlight the lines between those 2 triangles. And then you want to blend them out so you don't have 2 massive lines on your neck like a weirdo. I like to put a little bit of shadow in collarbones as well. Probably won't be able to see it by the time I put a shirt on, but it just makes it look a little bit more natural. And if you do go dark, and you can't blend it out, use the flat brush to blend as well sometimes, and that makes it a little bit easier to blend. So you're putting it on with the pointed edge along there, and then you can blend it out by putting the entire flap along. Nice strong jaw, yes. But something I should say, you're all probably more sensible than I am, but I get a very spotty chin, so make sure to clean your chin very thoroughly when you're taking your makeup off, and make sure to take your makeup off in good time because it can be bad for your skin. So yeah. Make your chin more prominent again, part of the prominent jaw. Okay, and now when queens contour, they want their nose thin and they want their cheekbones to be very sort of curved there, because that makes the face look more feminine. So what we want is we want actually straight cheekbones and a broader nose. You've probably seen them in RuPaul's Drag Race being all like blend, 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 and then fabulous female face. Kind of similar, but the opposite, and I'm nowhere near as good. So that's what we're going for. I hope so. If you have any tips, or if you need anything clarified, then give me a shout in the comments, because that would be cool. People were talking to me in the comments. That would be awesome. You tell I have no idea what I'm doing. Just generally with my life. I'm not talking about drag, I'm talking about my entire life. I mean, of course you can. Look at my bathroom, it looks like a prison. That's one of the reasons I actually really enjoy being Roddy. Like I said at the beginning of the video, sometimes I wake up and I don't like myself, so I like being someone else. And Roddy's kind of cool, because Roddy doesn't care at all about anything, ever. Unless you're talking about the class war, and then he's all on that. What I'm doing here is making those nice straight cheekbones. And the important thing is when you're ending a cheekbone, you want to sort of continue the line down so that you've got that hollow to the cheek there. So you want to sort of cheekbone, hollow. And you can find your cheekbones by doing this. And that usually tells you where your cheekbones are. I'm also adding a little bit in at the temple, which I think I put too much on. But again, just to sort of make the face look a bit more masculine. And some people will say that you should be highlighting and contouring at the same time as you go along, so putting it all on and then blending it together. Those people are probably correct. If nothing else, you'll have a good idea of what mistakes you should avoid when you're trying this for yourself. One other thing is I have very dark hair, so naturally a lot of the hair on my face shows up a lot better. That means that when it comes to like eyebrows, around the chin, top across the lip, and especially here, I have already got quite a lot of dark hair there. If you don't, there's a lot of really good tutorials out there for darkening hair and making it look realistic. But it's basically a similar sort of thing, contouring into the hairline, like I'm doing here. And using a little bit of eyeshadow as well. I think brown eyeshadow tends to work quite well. Eyeshadow matching your hair and then a shade darker. Boom. Yeah, more or less. So the next thing you want to do is broaden out the nose. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw some line. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. So sort of following the nose. If you feel on your nose, you should have the narrow bit, and then that bit there, that's the bit you want to paint around. So you broaden around that. I'm going to use the small end of the brush. And you go up into the socket of your eye. And this is something you can play around with the angles to see what suits your face, and also what creates the look you want to create, because certain looks are better evoked by certain shapes. So if you want a very feminine man, you don't want to broaden it too much. If you want a very masculine man, then obviously you want to broaden it more. It may be that you already have a different shaped nose, which is totally fine. Many people have very differently shaped noses. It's all about knowing which nose is the right nose for you. Roddy, you might say, aren't you going to, I don't know, put in any highlighter with all of these contours because you're looking pretty old? That's the next thing. Is again, yeah, I probably should have started off doing contouring with the highlighter as well, but I'm a turd, so there we go. So yes, now you look all haggard and old and disgusting. You can turn your brush over. If you're, you know, really living the high life, you can actually have more than one brush so that you don't have to keep cleaning it off. Then you get a little bit of your highlighter, your lovely highlight. And this to me doesn't actually seem to highlight too much because my skin is actually a lighter colour than the highlighter. So, kind of annoying. I know, white girl problems, right? So what I tend to do is I tend to use that to bridge the gap between the contour, the shadow, and my skin. Does that make sense? That makes sense. That's all good. So yeah, there you go. And that just makes it a little bit more of a natural progression. Can get, I believe, not sure if this is true or not, because I mean this would mean looking above the bottommost tier of the makeup stand, but as I understand it, if you go more expensive, you can actually get liquid contour and highlighter, which is more like the foundation, which means you can just go like blur, 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 light, dark, light, and then just blend until there's nothing left to blend, which does sound like it would be far more effective than powder, because powder is not a very precise medium because it goes all over the place. So, you know, you have options. Don't, for the love of God, don't follow my product advice, because I am cheap and I will only ever spend the least I can possibly spend on it. Don't be afraid to get your fingers dirty as well. If you mess up too badly, then, you know, fingers were invented before brushes, so they can always brush out anything that you miss. So yeah, load a highlight on the chin for that. And this is the problem I always get, is you look back at it afterwards and you're like, contours could be darker. And then, oh no, too much, take it back. Because what fun would life be if you didn't try to over-perfect and then ruin everything? Anxiety people know what I'm talking about, am I right? Having messed up a couple of times going too dark straight away, I am now really reluctant to go very dark. However, I think that looks good. So we now have a more masculine line to our face. We've got our temples, we've got our cheekbones, we've got our jaw, our chin, and our slightly broadened nose. Lips. Women, generally speaking, have fuller lips. Men have narrower lips. And what I have found is a good way to narrow your lips. You can do it with a lip pencil, but again, I'm cheap, so I don't have them. I should just a little bit of pan stick This is Max Factor, but I got it for super cheap because someone I know was selling off like a bag of them. I didn't ask where she got them from, but it, from the looks of it, was either eBay or she stole them. So I'm kidding, I'm sure she didn't steal them. A little bit of pound stick and a little bit of your lovely concealer wand. And this does have the unfortunate side effect of making your lips very obvious, like weirdly prominent, but it also thins out and gets rid of some of the pink in your lips so they look a bit more male. Now, what you can go on to do at this point is add in some facial hair. I don't really like doing it too much because it's just another messy thing. Because it has to be done with powder. You can do it with your shadow, you can do it with some brown eyeliner, you can mix in the two. I'm not going to put on too much facial hair. You can only really do like a line of, you know, sort of stubble or shadow with powder effect. If you want anything more than that, you have to buy a hair piece. But I'm just going to show you what sort of things you could do. Little brush like that, just a little one. I know, I do have more than one brush. Shocking. So this is just some loose face powder that's a shade darker than my skin. I say a shade, it's also a shade more orange. I got it from Primark, so it's not going to be ideal. If you're not in Britain, I'm not sure what the equivalent for Primark would be. I don't think there's another hellhole like it. It's a very large shopping centre that is almost entirely clothes. If it's not clothes, it's homewares. And it's all made for, it sells for very cheap because it's made for like pence an hour, possibly in sweatshops, but they say that they don't do that anymore. I've got my face powder and I've got my brown eyeshadow. You just want a little bit on your little brush. And if you want sort of a, I think the best thing to go for is kind of a goatee moustache kind of thing. So you want little dabby strokes. Just to kind of put the shadow there. And if you do, like me, have a lot of naturally dark hair, then that's cool, work with that. It may look very dark and very fake, but don't worry, we're going to go back and fix it in a minute. It's a good thing about drag. Now, when you're doing a picture, there's too often the thing that goes wrong is the thing you can't undo. No matter how many times you practice. But because it's makeup and because it's on skin, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. Just wipe it off, do it again, or go over it and make it a feature, who knows. You can do whatever you want to do, which is kind of reassuring. Usually, at the crooks, like the folds of the skin, it's darker because that's when more bristles are collecting. So just right down the centre of your chin, if you want to give yourself the impression of having chin dimples or sides to your mouth, you want to make it a little bit darker. See how that works? And in the middle of... I can never remember what that bit's called, but that little bit there as well. That's cool. Okay, so now we've got our awful looking shadow. We're going to fill out our eyebrows as well, which again you just want same little bit of the face powder, a little bit of the eyeshadow, fill them in, a little bit underneath and a little bit to draw it into the middle. Eyebrow pencil. This is, again, I think, oh, it's Rimmel, apparently. Don't know how I got a Rimmel eyebrow pencil, but there you go. Just draw some nice little lines into the shadow and powder. And because you're drawing it into shadow and powder, it won't come out as big crayon lines on your face. So that's good. It will sort of look a bit smoother. One of the things I kind of want to do for Roddy is, because I can't do, you know, the eyebrow thing where one goes up, I can't do that. I do not have the muscle function to do that. I was kind of thinking it'd be funny to draw on an eyebrow slightly higher than the other one, which I guess would just be filling out over the top. But I want to know if anyone else has done that. I might experiment with it later. I'm not going to do it on camera in case it looks stupid. And don't worry if it looks a little bit scruffy and a little bit scraggly, because they're eyebrows, so of course they're going to look scruffy and scraggly. Yeah, cool. A little bit of the eyebrow pencil on your face as well. So how about them local sports teams? You see that one team? They sports harder than the other sports. If you want to chop up your eyebrows a little bit and make them look a little bit more natural again, you can take the comb end and just drag it through a little bit, just so you can see some skin that's not just a block of colour. Obviously that's not going to fool anyone up close, but from a distance, or, you know, in bad club lighting, it looks fine. There you go, you've got one slightly scruffy beard. And that's your face. Comb. Not a very clean comb, but comb. So yeah, we've got our clay in for a little while, and we've had it in for a little while, so it should be, ow, incredibly painful to comb through. But because it's set that little bit, it'll keep some of the styling quality. Ow. Ow, I left it in too long. Damn. Ow. But it also smooths out a little bit better, do you see? It doesn't look all, you know, greasy and nasty. So that's good. So I've been messing around quite a lot with hair wax for different hairstyles for Roddy. Because I like messing around with hair wax. And because I've been trying to figure out the exact, like, ultimate posh arsehole hair wave, you know? To sum up Roddy slightly better for people who aren't as English, I think the best way I can describe him is the kind of guy who wears mustard-coloured chinos and a puffy body vest, and then says things like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You've probably seen them. If you haven't seen them, then I'm sure you've heard of at least one or two of them. Well, no, Prince Harry, except, you know, without the reason to actually be full of himself. Just a little bit more hair wax on the back there. And you don't want the Hitler haircut, because that's bad. So we've brushed it over, extreme side parting, and then just brush it forward a little bit. And it should... did it when I practiced. Give a little bit of an emo curl as well. And then, because it clay's dried off a little bit as well, if you want to just mess it up with your hands, you can. So yeah. 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 So there you go. Next thing to do is get changed, which you're not going to see, but I'll see you in a minute. Boom. There we go. There we are now. Roddy Jodphurs. Cracking. So there you go. That was by no means a comprehensive, but at the very least a introduction into the pitfalls and practicalities of learning how to make yourself look like a man. So there you go. Check out my lovely look. There we go. Isn't it awesome? Yeah, that's right. And I'll see you guys next time.